All right. Office hours number four. That's 8. 4. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Marc Goldberg, Chief Revenue Officer of Method Media Intelligence. We have a returning guest, Vicky. Say hi, everyone. All right. And Jenny, you have been there from the beginning. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're an OG now. So I'm just going to say, hey, what are we talking about today? I kind of forgot.
Believe we're talking about currency, Mark.
That's right. Currency.
So yeah, I'll launch into it. So at our last office hours, we talked about 100% measurement, and we had a recent all hands internally with our team. And Mark, you kind of took us through how Nielsen and those ratings work, and really kind of just describing this idea of currency. So today in this session, I was hoping we could dig a little bit deeper, because actually, could you just start by resetting the baseline and hopefully keep this abridged, because I know you had about a 54-page deck with our team.
Don't shake your hand, guys. I did that so quick. Don't hate. That was like a 14-minute conversation. I do very, very quick slides, and it was very efficient. Hopefully you guys loved it. Actually, I thought it was great. I thought the team was really engaged, and I think it really started another conversation around currency and understanding it. And so, what I really tried to explain to them was that Nielsen is truly the backbone of, and has been the backbone of, TV ratings. The conversation we went was kind of some scenarios and showed how TV ratings were used to calculate for advertisers, and it was a negotiation. And so what I showed was a seller saying, hey, we're going to do a 10 rating for this show. We want $10 million. We want $1 million. Buyer saying, we think it's going to do an 8 rating. We'll give you $800,000. And then the seller saying, oh no, we'll guarantee the 10 and it'll be $900,000. And buyer says, yay. And then the numbers come out from Nielsen, and then you see the over delivery scenario and the under delivery scenario. And both of them, are based on this rating, this currency. And what I think was really interesting was, how we showed that, and then tying it back to Nielsen under reporting and how much of an impact it could have to a network.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think what the team found really fascinating was that all of this is based on sampled data, right?
Ding. Yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of the not hidden truth. It's a truth that you see it, you can find it. It's 46,000 people. That's 46,000, households. That's what the Nielsen panels are built off. It's representative of the sample of the United States, and it's representative of, the census. So it's tied and shows and tries to make sure it's very, representative, I guess is the right word. But that number represents 120 million households. And so you can see that sample is like, whoa, that's kind of a big number. I think that's really what blew everyone away. It wasn't really, that it was sampled. It was that was the number. The interesting thing, I think, was for me was when I went researching to figure out what the number was, I found it. It was there. I could find it and found that it was 46,000. And what the difference in with digital right now is, no one's really disclosing their sample rate except us. And the question for buyers should be, what is your discussion rate? And I think, we need to start holding more and more people accountable, because we don't want another Nielsen. And by making sure that people understand that the Nielsen rate and the decision rate, that this disclosure should be a requirement.
Yeah, good point, Mark. I mean, it's not like we're talking about pennies. Digital is a huge ecosystem, and there's so much money being thrown around. And if you're missing out on data that you are paying for, at least you should know about it.
I mean, so the currency aspect is pretty fascinating to me, because in TV, like, billions rely on the sample, but in digital, as we discussed like last time, measurement can be 100%. Right?
Yeah, I mean, currency varies based on who you talk to. Specifically, it usually varies on whatever the salesperson you're talking to is saying. Kidding, but like also not really kidding. It's super ubiquitous and it's objective, and it depends on what a client wants, what a client needs. Some people still view clicks as their main form of digital currency, which I think everyone on the call would agree is a little bit wonky. In the back in the day, it made sense because people were like, oh, this is how I can see who clicked on my ad and went through. But excluding like my husband and his love of Instagram ads, no one I know clicks on ads. And so we've been moving more away from clicks and into kind of like an impression based currency in the digital world, like how many people saw your ad or how many times was your ad served. Reach is like the common term, like how many people did this ad reach. But then there's a question of like, but how are you counting those impressions? What methodology are you using? What decision rate are you doing? Are you sampling? All of that really can affect what that currency might mean to you.
Yeah, I mean, the truth really has been the ad server. Like that's the truth. Like that's where you see the impressions load. That's what you should be paying for. But if you notice in the deck, when I mentioned, here's the promise of what a rating point is, and then someone was going away towards the bathroom or you left the TV unattended. I think that's really where the digital promise was. When your page loaded and your ad loaded and that ad was you would know of being the ad server and it was counted. I think this was really what we thought the promise should be. But then you start introducing like non-humans and everything else kind of goes awry and you can't measure something that you actually don't know. And that's really where I think we are today.
Yeah, I mean, the digital promise was meant to be like 100% measurement, but as you just pointed out, it's not, and there's all these problems.
And so then ultimately that promise was broken, right?
That promise was broken. And I think, it really started with viewability. I think when people started to realize, the ad was loading and you pay for it, well, then people figured out how to put ads way below here, below the fold, right? And so all these ads would load while the user was up here, and that what promise was broken because now everything's being counted down here. But if it's not viewable, did it really matter? And so I think that first promise was viewability. Then we start realizing, oh, there's some non-humans going on as these bots, and now you're paying for things that are not even things, right? They're not humans seeing these ads. And that's like the head scratcher is like, we're not advertising to humans.
Yeah, I mean, like Mark said, it started with viewability. Back in the day, if you bought a billboard space, like if you're advertising your something on billboard on I-95, like, okay, not everyone driving on 95 is going to see your billboard or respond to your billboard, but there's a really good chance they will. And it's not going to be because it was hidden from view unless there's, construction or something going on. But like digital doesn't work that way. You can say, I want to run an ad on New York Times. And like Mark said, like all news sites have those ads at the very bottom of the page. But how often does anyone actually read to the bottom of the page unless they're like really into the article that they're reading? And since that ad loaded, the ad server is counting that as an impression. But no one saw it. It's that whole, like, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, does it actually count? That is what is happening here. And then, like Mark said, even if it does load in a spot where a human could see it, there's no guarantee that an actual human saw it and that it wasn't like bot traffic. And on top of that, back in the day of linear TV or like, billboard advertising, you had a little bit more control over where your ad was running. In the programmatic ecosystem, you can do your best to say like, hey, I only want to run on articles or pages that are kid friendly or pages that aren't going to make my client mad. But it's really hard to do that. And there are a lot of bad actors out there who will let you circumnavigate. So like if you have an ad for, snakes, to buy snakes, you don't want to run next to an article about a snake that ate a child. That's not brand safe. In linear TV, you could have said like, hey, don't run me in this news story. And that ad for your snake store wouldn't have happened. In digital, it gets a little bit harder to do that and a little bit less honest in a lot of ways.
So you both were kind of talking about the currency aspect in digital is like whether or not it's human. But I feel like that concept is really like this non-human aspect is really confusing to people. So why do you think that is? Is it that we are just way too close to this, that we're seeing a completely different internet, a completely different ecosystem? Like what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, to some degree, I think we are a little bit jaded and we've been a little bit jaded, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's, we're guards up at this point. But I think, if you if you know the industry, the cybersecurity industry, there are a lot of different companies in that space that are looking at bot detection and trying to understand what the world is from bots, not related to advertising, just bots. And they have come to the conclusion that there's north of 50% of the internet now is non-human. We've said this before, I'm going to say it again. This is not an MMI statistic. This is just what the reality is. And I think that is the head scratcher. Like, oh my God, so many non-humans, what's going on? And our industry should take notice. And I've done free tests for clients, and I'm willing to do more if you guys want, but we have found over 7% of some of the tests we've done have shown invalid activity, even after another vendor has looked. And we can talk about the pre-bid, we can talk about other issues about that. And we've done that in the office hours, but I think the client was a little confused, and they were saying, I don't understand, what are you guys doing differently? And you could argue that we all have different methodologies. You can say different things of what we're looking at, but at the end of the day, this is what 100% measurement can show you. And that's the kind of takeaway I've been working with clients and saying, listen, don't get mad, don't get upset that you chose the wrong vendor, if you will. And they didn't, they just chose a vendor. Now is the opportunity to understand if 100% measurement is available, take it.
And you should also be pushing for 100% transparency. Not just, 100% measurement, but all of the data, all of the time. If you're paying for it, you should have it.
Transparency, I think that's just a whole nother.
That sounds like a whole
I mean, that's I want to say so much. Maybe that would be the next topic. Let us know if that is the topic, whether it's the internal team that's watching this or the external folks that are seeing this. We've been getting some great responses. People internally wanted us to kind of tackle this topic a little deeper, and I thought it would be a great thing for the industry to listen to as we see what's happening with Nielsen today. And at the end of the day, we want to help you guys understand the world. We want you to be more knowledgeable in this space. We think it's important for decisions to be made with an understanding of how it all works. So thank you, you both. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining Office Hours.
Yeah, I'll see you all next time. Well, I'll see you all.
We might see. We're not sure who's going to be next. Hopefully I failed enough that you guys can kick me off, but we'll see.
All right. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys next time.
Bye all.
Bye y'all.